and welcome to the debate. I'm your host Sana Maqbool with you at PTV World. In today's show, we're going to be taking a look at two important stories. The first is in reference to a major decision by the courts today with regards to a case involving the former founder and leader of PTI and his spouse. This is, of course, with regards to the Al-Qadr Trust case, which, of course, amounts to about £190 million. And this is, of course, something very important and for which the verdict had been delayed a number of times. But now the decision has been announced with the two being convicted in this particular case. And of course, it's very, very important in terms of the jail sentence that has also been awarded with 14 years for the PTI founder and 7 years for his spouse. And what is important also, of course, to note with regards to the details of this case is also what it entails in terms of the impact on the political party, of course, and then, of course, with reference to what that means in terms of the number of cases already against the PTI founder and what really is going to be the options available to him now as we move forward, and whether or not there is going to be any way forward through the courts or through any other means, as is being suggested in various reports, whether or not that will be possible, including, of course, elements from outside of the country, particularly the US. So we're going to be taking a look at what that means on ground and what this verdict entails, and of course what the responses have been both from the opposition and the government, and how this also can potentially impact the negotiation process between the two. That is going to be our focus in the first segment of the show today. Our next one is going to be taking a look at the launch of Pakistan's first electro-optical satellite that has been launched by Zupanco from China. This is, of course, very, very important in terms of it being a product that has been indigenously produced, and of course that has huge impact in terms of agriculture, disaster management, urban planning and more, and of course adds to Pakistan's space technology and the future progression in this particular field, and the impact, of course, that it will create in terms of the economy and, of course, benefits for the country. So we're going to be taking a look at that in further detail in the second segment of the show today. For this and more, as always, in the studios, I've been joined by senior analyst Farrukh Pitafi and Raja Faisal. We've also been joined online by PML N leader Mrs. Kardar. Thank you very much, Mrs. Ma, for joining us and being a part of the discussion. And I'll start with you with reference to your thoughts on what the court has come out with today, with, of course, 14 years for the PTI founder and 7 years for his spouse in the Al-Qadr Trust case. And this is important also in terms of the ways in which now this is being looked at both by the PTI followers and, of course, the supporters of PML N. So I want your take on, first of all, this verdict.
Thank you, Sana, for inviting me. I think it's a great day for the people of Pakistan because all their looted wealth, which was money laundered abroad, has come back to them and now will be used for their welfare and their well-being. Now, I think it's a historic decision of the court because never before have we witnessed such a mega white collar crime, and especially at the highest level in the corridors of power, with the prime minister being implicated himself in this corruption case. Now, it's mind-boggling, Sana. How come nobody has offered me or you 458
Right.
no, but
Right. We're experiencing some problems in understanding you, Ms. Uzma. So we're going to come back and hopefully it will be resolved then so that we can actually get your viewpoint across properly and to be able to hear your stance on the matter. And before that, of course, I'll just go to Faisal and then come back to you in a little bit. And Faisal, of course, I want your take on this as well. We've spoken about it yesterday as well. We've spoken about it a couple of days back. And of course, while we take a look at the way that the negotiating process takes place, this has been very integral in terms of what that means for both the PTI founder and his spouse, and of course what it entails in terms of the impact that it creates not only on them but on the political party, and then of course the larger political setup. So your take on a verdict first.
Yeah, obviously, Sana, if we look at the current situation and especially this case, of course this case is an important case and that has been going on for a long time, and of course, now the verdict coming out now, in which both of the leaders of PTI, I must say, because in recent times, obviously, the former First Lady, she has obviously shown that she has the tendencies of being the leader of PTI, though she hasn't been, in the electoral systems of Pakistan, in which she was contesting some election or not. But right now, of course, both of Mr. and Mrs. Imran Khan Niazi, both of them, they have been, of course, charged with it, and one of them gets the 14 years. That is, of course, the former Prime Minister and former chairman of PTI. And then if we talk about his wife, she gets 7 years. And of course, when we talk about this particular case involves, of course, the sort of money laundering which took place at the behest of some other group, and the money, when it went outside of the country, then the authorities from Britain, they actually got back to Pakistan's government with that there are 190 million pounds that are still with them, and that needs to be, of course, that is there, which they have sort of held accountable somebody for. And in that case, of course, the money came back to Pakistan. Now that money was supposed to come to Pakistan as a government, but we can obviously, after the judgment of this case, we can now figure out that it was actually handed over to at that time to one of the accounts of Supreme Court, because the matter was not solved at that time. Now the matter is solved, and at that time, of course, we know that Al-Qadr University was with haste created in of course Jhelum, district of Jhelum, and we saw that a construction group was, of course, involved in constructing it, and then allowing the land, and then the land was provided by them. So that must have been part of that deal. And but with the money that was, of course, supposed to get into government of Pakistan, and that kind of thing taking place, in which a favor was awarded to a favorite person, and that favorite person, of course, is not in Pakistan right now, and that favorite person, of course, is not being even mentioned by media at large for certain reasons. And this is the level of the influence of that very individual who's sitting outside of the country. And
but I think we've taken names on the
yeah,
show
we have
before.
taken names before, and now Malik Riaz, of course, everyone
And I'm
knows.
sure Farrukh will do that.
Farrukh
I
will
was
do
ready
that.
to do that.
Before Farrukh does it, I wanted to keep it for Farrukh, because Farrukh obviously always
ready to take the baton.
yeah. But I think it is apparent, and if we talk about the mainstream private media, they're not taking his name. I think this is the time that names should be taken, names should be called. Whoever had any an iota of any misdeed to do with it, they should have been named. And if we overall look at this particular decision, this is going to, of course, dent the political party PTI as because they have been, of course, in past claiming that their the whole campaign and their political party circles around accountability, and the slogans of accountability, they were, of course, pivotal when it comes to their politics. And looking at all of these scenario, of course, I think it is a chance for the government to highlight it more and more, dig deep into it, and present more and more facts for people at large. And social mediums should be used, in which, of course, further details should be provided to people at large with evidences. Whatever the evidences there are, they should be provided to people so that people can further understand. If we look into, deeply look into the verdict itself, only an instant can be seen in the verdict, in which the judge believes that there were certain issues that still needs further probe, but still the judge claimed that he is happy with the of course, whatever the proceedings were, and he will go ahead with the verdict. but them certain things, I think on the later stages in the appeal cases, of course we have already seen that PTI as a political party, they have lodged an appeal against this verdict, and when that case is going to be heard, of course the things which were highlighted by the judge himself in the verdict, of course them things further will be probed, whether they go in the favor of PTI or they go in the favor of the of course complainant. That would be seen in coming future, but so far of course verdict is there, 14 years for former chairman of PTI and 7 years for his wife.
And 1.5 million as fines.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely. Ms. Usman, I hope you're with us and we can hear you better now.
I don't know, Sana. I think these technical glitches are coming from your end. I've been sitting there all along.
No, I'm sure you were,
Internet,
we're of course, yes, we of course are able to hear you better now, and apologize for any inconvenience. I can hear you. I hope you can hear me too.
Fine, because I've been sitting listening to all your guests, and hopefully my voice is now reaching you. I think this is the day when we need to congratulate the whole nation, because this money was the taxpayers' money, which was money laundered and taken abroad. It has come back, and now hopefully it's going to be used for the welfare and the well-being of the people, because it actually belonged to the people. Now, I think it's a historic decision by the court, because, Sana, frankly speaking, I have never heard of such a mega white collar corruption case before in the history of Pakistan. And it goes right up to the corridors of power, to the Prime Minister himself, who, in a very, very secretive manner, got this whole shady deal, approved by the cabinet. And it was actually such a big scam. And the worst part is that people who are in that party and other people, by setting an absolutely fake narrative, by propaganda, by spreading lies, they have confused people to no end. The actual facts were totally distorted, but now the decision has come. The court has, declared the founder and his wife, plus 6 other people who are absconders. They're also part of this scam. That this whole was a big corruption case, in which now the money. You see, the thing is that Al Qadir University, it is not why it was made; it was how it was made, with ill-gotten wealth, with due to corruption, illegal money, and bribery. This 458 canals, which came as a bribe to the founder and his wife, and they formed this trust in their own names. This land, I mean, can you imagine? Why didn't anybody gift this land to me and you, or to anybody else? Why them? And under the garb of this of religion. I mean, this is something which is beyond my comprehension, that you use religion to further your own greedy political and material ambitions. Now, they made this university. Just, they were hardly, I think, less than 50 students. They took donations worth billions, and then 248 canals were given as a bribe to Faragogi also in Banigala. So Malik Riaz, the big tycoon, and also don't forget the 5 carat diamond. We have absolute evidence. All this evidence was there, but it was being denied and it was being misconstrued. It was being distorted. Oh, it was a secret deal. Oh, it was for a very good cause. Blah, blah, blah. Actually, this money, which should have come into the State Bank account, was sent to the Supreme Court account, which was opened only for the penalty that had been imposed on Malik Riaz because of the Malir scam of that huge chunk of Malir. So that 460 billion was the amount which Malik Riaz had to pay. So by sending this money, this was like, okay, this is an installment of that penalty. So it was actually, it was a deal, a very, very shady deal. And now again, people are being misled. Oh, well, this will go out the window when they, go into appeal in the High Court. It's not that easy, Sana. It's not that easy. We all have seen how these people, starting from the foreign funding case, then to the Tosha Khana 1, Tosha Khana 2, the misappropriation of funds, misuse of authority, corruption. We've seen how it was rampant in Punjab, what Farrukh, the de facto chief minister, did in those 3.5 years, where all that funding of the people of Punjab was diverted. Where is Farrukh right now? Where is Gujar right now? Where is Shahzad Akbar? All these people, they're part of this corruption. They're part and parcel of this corruption. And the kingmaker, the person who's the mastermind, was, of course, the Murshid. That's what comes to the surface. This was her idea. And it was, she is the one, who was lusting for those 5 carat diamonds and, so on and so forth. So the onus of this whole, mega corruption falls on the shoulders of the Prime Minister, ex-Prime Minister, because he's the one under whose patronage and through the cabinet this whole deal, was done. So therefore, I think the people of Pakistan have got justice today, and it is a moment we should all celebrate, and people should understand that propaganda, which is the tool of populist politics, is not what we want in Pakistan. We want Pakistan to work on merit. We want Pakistan to prosper, for the economy of Pakistan to stabilize. For that, we need to build, relations with all our international community, get foreign investment here, attract it, get, increase our remittances, and do everything to create opportunities for our youth. And this is what this government is doing now, focusing. There is not a single case of corruption if you look at Punjab, if you look at the center, not a single, rupee of the taxpayer has been misused or misappropriated. So now it's about time that the money of the people of Pakistan is spent on their well-being and giving them their fundamental rights. And this is, I think, what the government is focusing on now.
Right, absolutely. And Farrukh, I'll come to you with this with regards to, of course, the verdict, and you've heard Ms. Usman, Faisal's statements on it as well. Accountability, of course, whether it's for a select few or not, is an important aspect for this case. And then also with reference to the ways in which we're actually taking a look at the nuances involved in this case, the kind of statements coming in from the PTI with how this money wasn't utilized, comparing that with cases of Muhammad Nawaz Sharif and others. And then, of course, with the ways in which there are talks that are being referred to with the PTI in terms of any possible deals in the future. And then, of course, whether or not there are legal options for them to take place are all important aspects for you to cover. So, go ahead.
So
please.
many things, right? And let me be honest, I think that this kind of series of questions befits a case that has so many layers. This case has more layers than an onion, which is thought to be quite pungent, right? But first of all, at the core of it, Sana, it is a case of quid pro quo, or for that matter, pay for play, where somebody in government actually hid certain things and did certain things, and then they were rewarded, even if it might be in the name of religion, but still property is property, and that property was handed, right? Having said that, of course, it also involves abuse of power, corruption, and a lot of other things. But I was referring to many layers, right? And of course, the way this money, ironically, this money and this case was first identified and escalated to the, British authorities by PTI's own government. At that time, they thought that they will be able to, target their opponents with that. But then this issue was actually, searched thoroughly, researched by those authorities, and they found that the monies were there in a manner which was not correct. But those who were earlier named by PTI, they were let go without any kind of complaint, right? In the end, it was decided that this money is going to be repatriated to the people of Pakistan. And that is very important because at that time, government actually sent it for some other purposes. And that was, as has been pointed out by, Usman Sahiba and Faisal Sahab, that these things were essentially, meant for the people exchequer. But then a Seth who was aforementioned, who was mentioned earlier, but we are going to talk about him at length because Sana, by the way, have you been to Faisalabad?
No.
You haven't been to Faisalabad. Faisalabad has one summit point, and it is Faisalabad's the clock tower of Faisalabad or Ghanta Ghar of Faisalabad. Right? Everything goes to that place. So in this case, there's one Faisalabad ka Ghanta Ghar, and that is Malik Riaz. Everything actually revolves around the kind of concessions he was given. Essentially, he was fined by Supreme Court. By the way, there is a gentleman, a former Chief Justice of Pakistan. He was celebrated at that time for fining Malik Riaz with this humongous 400 billion rupees or something to that tune. For actually capturing illegally public property in Sindh. And after that, this gentleman also opened this account where monies had to be sent, and the PTI government actually took that 190 million pound fine, those monies that were repatriated and sent it to Supreme Court's account. And the Supreme Court actually became happy at that time and content. So the question is, what kind of influence this guy Malik Riaz has? Because it has been pointed out that his name, or actually you pointed out, his name is not even mentioned in this verdict. There are other absconders, and let me read their famous names for public's consumption. Zulfi Bukhari is mentioned as an absconder. Farrukh Shahzadi, aka Farah Gogi, is mentioned. Mirza Shahzad Akbar, who is now a very successful podcaster and YouTuber and podcaster, he is also mentioned. Then somebody called Ziaul Mustafa Naseem, a businessman, he is also mentioned. And then, surprise, surprise, two unidentified people are also mentioned. I don't know who they are. I hope that is Malik Riaz, because every time Malik Riaz is mentioned on air, on Pakistani channels, his name is bleeped. And that is not all. He is very happily sitting in Dubai, and recently he inaugurated a mega scheme there, and our private channels actually carried the reports on that also. Do you know why does he have that kind of power? He has that kind of power because he owns massive, massive chunks of various channels' advertising segments. And he can, at will, even run content that is contrary to those channels. So, and especially in this, the worst abuser is Geo Group of Pakistan, because Geo News and their Young Geo Group, they are the ones who have been promoting him repeatedly. Of course, they are the #1 channel, or thought to be by the private, rigged game analysts. Because of that, others also followed their lead, and every anchor who mentions him is bleeped. The question right now is, who are these two unnamed people? Why did the court not have the courage to actually mention them? And the question then is, that all these absconders are going to be dealt separately. That means this case is not concluded yet. It is going to continue beyond this as well, despite the fact that there is going to be review, and there is going to be appeal, that then there are multiple stories of legal recourse here. But having said this, the question is, a prime minister actually takes the matter to cabinet, does not open an envelope, and then it is hardly news at that time. Now people are saying, I objected to it, but you did not stop it. So my problem is that the entire country becomes complicit to this extent, that that man, when he launched his mega project in Dubai, those reports kept on running ad nauseum in your private media space. Why would that be, right? The country that is beloved to all of us has to ask itself, why do we allow people who don't have that kind of caliber, who might have done a lot of bad things in life, why do they get rewarded in this manner? The other person that might be unnamed can be General Faz or somebody in his orbit, because that is also an important role that was played. The former Prime Minister, the way he was actually hiding facts from his own cabinet, that actually implies somebody else, somebody powerful other than Malik Riaz in the outside his immediate orbit. So these are questions that are going to be there. The good news is, finally, the Honorable Judge Saab has stopped waffling, and he has finally, after 3 cancellations, he has 4 times is the charm, he has given this verdict.
Right. Ms. Usman, I want your take on these details as well, with, of course, with the kind of context and nuances involved beyond the PTI founder and his wife. And add to that concerns regarding the implications this has on the negotiating table that is going on currently with the PTI and the opposition. Does that in any way affect that?
Well, I don't know why your guests are so surprised, Sana. I don't know whether they've heard of this idiom, money makes the mayor go, and money talks. And Malik Riaz has tons of money, so he can buy anybody and anything wherever he wants in the whole world. So it doesn't come as a surprise to me. And I think he's such a tycoon that uh, nobody has the guts or maybe the resolve to say no to him for whatever he wants and for whatever he ordains. So, I mean, if he can buy all the media houses and if he can buy, the elite and God knows who else, right? What can one say? And he's still sitting in Dubai enjoying life. So, give him the credit for that, that he has beaten the system. Anyway, the problem is that we all know what is happening, but we maybe turn a blind eye to it, or we deliberately look the other way because our system is not that strong. Individuals in our system, Sana, are very strong, but the system is weak. And unless we make the system strong, the state will always be vulnerable because we are only as strong as our system and our institutions. So, this is my take on the first part of your question. And the second part is whether this will have any bearing on the ongoing negotiations between the government and the opposition. Well, Sana, frankly speaking, I don't think the two are really connected because you see, the point is that PTI and the leadership tried everything, under the sun to humiliate, to damage, to destroy the state and its institutions. Starting from, Zaman Park, we saw the petrol bombs and we saw how they, inflicted injuries on the law enforcing agencies, burnt their vehicles, going on to 9th May, the destruction of our national security forces installations, That was the worst crime one can even think of. I mean, as a Pakistani, we can't even think of doing such horrendous deeds, but they did it. And the it was all the brainchild of the founder of PTI. Then on to twice they attacked the capital, and then the last episode on November 26th, when all this fell flat on their face and they absolutely failed in the chaos that they were trying to create and the disturbance and the destabilizing Pakistan, damaging Pakistan at home and abroad. When it did not work, then they felt that now, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. So we are finished. We've reached a dead end. So that's when they came to the negotiating table. Now the PML N party is a party which has always spoken about the Charter of Democracy, Charter of Economy, and Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif has never ever closed the doors of negotiations. The doors were closed from the other end because their agenda was different. Their agenda was chaos, and their agenda was, politics for power. And for that, they could go to any extreme. People were used for it. The youth was used, the women were used. Even now, the entire KP resources were used. We all saw that. So the thing is that what are they wanting now? They want an NRO. They were trying to get an NRO in this case also, but these cases, they are, our justice system, our judiciary, they're independent. Whatever you might say, they don't like a decision, they start, abusing the judiciary. They don't like the establishment, they start calling them, names. So the point is that we believe that we are following a constitution, we are following the rule of law, and we respect our judiciary and our other institutions. So their cases are in court. So they have to, go through those cases. Only then they can. I mean, we don't mind. They can
Right.
come out tomorrow from Indiala. Everybody can come out, but they have to be cleared by the courts. Now that is not something where we can negotiate with them. They talk
Yeah.
about judicial commission. Well, maybe we can discuss that further, but not with the kind of conditionalities that they're coming with. We will, of course, always go for neutral judges, and we might just maybe send this suggestion to the Chief Justice of Supreme Court, and it is on his discretion that, he whatever bench he might want to make. They cannot dictate anything to them. They cannot dictate anything to the government because we are negotiating, but we can only do what we are able to do. The
Right.
rest they have to, the accountability process. 9th May, what they did was a black day for Pakistan, and they have to answer for their misdeeds, and especially the leadership that led the people astray.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Usman Kardar, for joining us and being a part of the discussion today. Farrukh, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, Sana, I just wanted to quickly react to what was said about Malik Riaz. Look, he has not, to paraphrase a Punjabi saying, he hasn't stolen my buffalo, right? I have no personal grudge against the man. I've never met him, right? And I hardly know the man. My only problem is, and by the way, this is my experience also. When I was in private media, I was thrice censored for some causes, right? The first one was when I tried to call TTP a group of terrorists, and that kept on happening for quite some time. The second time there was a problem was when I criticized Altaf Hussain. As if I had hit a wall, and repeatedly I was told that your office in Karachi will be burned down, so shut the hell up, right? And the third one, and that was the third strike, was Malik Riaz. I lost my show, right? My point is that this country keeps on, actually has been running as if there was nobody in charge. There is no constitution, there is no superstructure to take care of abuse of power. May it be billionaires, may it be media. Media, for example, Competition Commission of Pakistan actually raids PBA's offices. All of a sudden, do you know who loses their power? Competition Commission of Pakistan. So there has to be some accountability for the kind of the ungodly power these guys actually kept on amassing and abusing, and then there was no check and balances by the state, as if that state that challenged me or you on overspeeding immediately, that could actually go to sleep whenever these people were amassing, snatching so large tracts of property from common people, or kill them or rob them. Nobody was there to control that. Why would that be? If the state is going to run like that, but like earlier it was said about prison, anybody can come out, everybody can come out, right? Then let us all be, citizens of a rule of jungle, a place where rule of jungle actually rules. Otherwise, the state should assert itself and show what it is made of.
Right, absolutely. We're going to quickly move on to our next segment that takes a look at the launch of EO1, which is an indigenously produced satellite by Pakistan, launched by Subarco, and of course uses electro-optical signals. And this is important, particularly in terms of the impact it creates. And Faisal, I want first your take on what that means for Pakistan's indigenous space technology.
Oh, I think it's a huge step forward, and with the contributions from our brotherly country, China, of course, Pakistan is head on. And when Sana, we talk about the agriculture, of course, we know that SIFC is putting up efforts to, of course, enhance Pakistan's agriculture sector, in which, of course, we have been, time and again highlighting in this show as well that SIFC is trying to, of course, attract the agri-tech as well, any possible tech that can help Pakistan to apply more efforts to gain more crops, to gain more production in the agriculture sector. That is being done. This is another step forward in that context, number one. And number two, of course, it is going to help Pakistan to, of course, figure out Pakistan's challenges which are being faced by Pakistan in terms of climate change as well. It can, of course, keep Pakistan update in that as well. But overall, it's a huge success for Pakistan, and obviously for SIFC as well, as we can simply say that it is going to of course affect Pakistan's agriculture sector in coming years and months, and at the same time it is going to help Pakistan to improve its agri production.
Right, absolutely. And Farrukh, your take on this as well, particularly in terms of the impact it creates on sectors such as agriculture, urban planning, and of course the economy in general.
Right, Sana, one thing that is very important, and I was just like looking it up because it was somewhere in my text here, that it has electro-optic sensors, right? Because of that, it is very good at mapping and taking stock of the situation on ground. That essentially means not only for agricultural purposes, of course, it is going to help in that also. Not only that it only takes care of the climate issues, because that is an early warning system, but also very important that it actually take stock of your urban sprawl. Earlier, when we were talking a few days ago, a few weeks ago actually, we were talking about Lahore's situation there too, because everything has been developed higgledy-piggledy. Because of that, it is very important to keep a vigilant eye on that. And then infrastructure itself has to also, and by the way, minerals need to be monitored also, their parks and all. So this is a great thing that we can see. The more good news is that it is produced totally indigenously. Of course, China helped us in launching it into orbit, but then when you talk about production, it was homegrown. It is in accordance with the new space policy 2025. And then it shows you the ability. By the way, I've been saying it for quite some time, that there are three things, if we cannot take stock of them, if we cannot find a solution to them, then we are toast. One, our population growth. The second one is climate change. And the third one is the speed with which countries hostile to us, like India, are colonizing space. If we don't have a footprint, if we don't have a foot in the door, in space, then we are toast. Fortunately, it shows that we are making headway and we are making progress. Otherwise, whatever you do on ground, if you're boxed in, right, you're done. So I think that it is great news that we will be able to get so much information and help from this thing that is produced by Pakistan.
Right. Thank you very much, Farrukh, and thank you, Faisal, for joining us in the debate as always. That's all we have time for. And of course, it's the weekend, so we'll now see you on Monday.